fatalities there would have been had this hypothetical situation actually happened, but we do know that it would have been way, way more than the one fatality that did actually happen.
Riley for three.
However, officials were quickly notified that the situation outside of the stadium was even worse, and fans were notified to stay where they were.
Picture this. It's 2008, and the Georgia Dome is packed with 20,000 screaming fans. The game clock's ticking down, and Alabama's trailing Mississippi State. Mykal Riley's got the ball. He shoots. He scores. The crowd goes wild as the game heads to overtime. But here's where it gets crazy. While everyone's celebrating inside, a monster tornado is ripping through downtown Atlanta. That overtime? It kept all those fans safe inside the arena instead of right in the twister's path. You're about to see how one player's clutch shot turned into the ultimate life-saving play. All right, let's rewind to that incredible moment in 2008, the SEC tournament, Alabama versus Mississippi State. The Georgia Dome's electric with 20,000 fans on the edge of their seats. Bama's down by 3, and there's only 2 ticks left on the clock. It's do or die time. Enter Mykal Riley, our unexpected hero. Now, Riley's been having a rough night. He lit it up in the first half with 13 points, but since then, zilch, nada. 0 points in the entire second half. But when it matters most, coach calls his number. Talk about pressure. The ball's inbounded, and it finds its way to Riley near the left wing. Mississippi State's defense is all over him like white on rice. The clock's winding down. 5, 4, 3. Riley's got no choice. He launches a prayer from way downtown. The whole arena holds its breath. 20,000 fans frozen in time. That ball's in the air for what feels like an eternity. It's like the entire SEC tournament hangs in the balance. The ball finally reaches the rim, and oh man, it's dancing. It rattles around, teasing every single person watching. Will it drop? Will Riley be the hero or the GOAT? Swish! Nothing but net. Tie game, baby. The crowd absolutely loses it. We're talking next-level pandemonium. High fives, hugs, complete strangers jumping up and down together. Riley's just saved Alabama's tournament hopes and sent this thing to overtime. But here's where it gets wild. While everyone's going bonkers inside the Georgia Dome, celebrating this incredible clutch shot, something sinister is brewing outside. Something that's about to turn this sports story into a tale of survival. You know what's insane? Not a single person in that arena had any clue what was coming. Not the players, not the coaches, not the fans losing their minds in the stands. They had no idea that Riley's miracle shot was about to become so much more than just a game-tying basket.
To head into the locker rooms to seek shelter. The fans who were in attendance begin to panic, and some of them try exiting the building in fear that the roof may collapse on them.
We're hearing some rumbling behind us. There's some concern. The building is rocking a bit.
While the Georgia Dome was shaking from the roar of the crowd, Mother Nature was about to do some shaking of her own. And let me tell you, she was not messing around. We're talking about a force of nature that was about to make this basketball game look like child's play. While everyone inside was living their best life, Mother Nature was about to crash the party. Hard. Remember that shaking from the crowd's excitement? Well, the next tremors weren't coming from any slam dunk or three-pointer. What was lurking just beyond those arena walls? Let's rewind a bit and zoom out from the court. While Mykal Riley and his teammates were battling it out inside, the skies above Atlanta were gearing up for their own showdown. Meteorologists had been tracking a nasty storm system all day, and it was headed straight for the city. But nobody in the Georgia Dome knew just how bad things were about to get. As Riley's miracle shot sailed through the air, that storm was transforming into something much worse. We're talking about an EF2 tornado, with winds whipping up to 130 miles per hour. This wasn't your average thunderstorm. This was a monster that was about to tear through downtown Atlanta like it was made of paper. Picture this. Just as 20,000 fans are losing their minds over Riley's game-tying shot, this tornado is touching down less than 100 yards from the arena. That's basically across the street. The storm's so close, it's actually shaking the building. But get this, most of the fans have no clue what's happening. They think all that rumbling is just from the crowd going wild. Now imagine if Riley had missed that shot. The game would have ended right then and there. You'd have thousands of people pouring out onto the streets, walking straight into the path of this tornado. We're talking about a potential disaster on a massive scale. But thanks to that clutch three-pointer, everyone's still inside, safe from the chaos outside. It's like the basketball gods decided to throw in a little divine intervention. 1 second longer, and who knows what could have happened. You want to talk about a close call? This was as close as it gets. $500 million in damage outside, and 20,000 people just a few feet away, celebrating a tie game. It's like something out of a movie, except this was real life with real consequences. Talk about out of the frying pan and into the fire. The buzzer beater might have saved the game, but now Mother Nature was about to serve up a whole new level of chaos. What happens when 20,000 people suddenly realize they're trapped in the eye of the storm? As overtime was about to kick off, something felt off. The Georgia Dome was shaking, but not from the crowd's excitement.
Some pieces of debris are still raining down, and there are numerous holes in the side of the building where people could see straight through to the outside and see lightning from the
Situations like this, Dome Stadium is the best possible place that you could be.
I hope you're right.
There was this weird rumbling sound that didn't quite fit. At first, everyone thought it was just the fans going wild, but then things got real weird, real fast. The players on the court started looking around, confused. You could see it on their faces. Something wasn't right. Fans in the stands were getting antsy too. 1 second, they're cheering for Riley's clutch shot. The next, they're wondering if they're in danger. It was like the whole mood of the arena flipped in an instant. Then, boom, the game stops. Officials are huddling up, looking all serious. Arena staff are running around like crazy. Imagine being there. Your heart's still racing from that game-tying three, and now you're thinking, wait, are we safe here? That's when Ben Hansbrough, a Mississippi State guard, felt it. He said later, "I thought I was hearing a tornado or a terrorist attack." Can you imagine? 1 minute you're playing in a big college game, the next you're wondering if you're under attack. That's the kind of fear that was starting to spread through the arena. Then came the announcement. Everyone needs to stay inside. The streets outside? Too dangerous. That's when it hit home for everyone. Riley's shot didn't just extend the game, it kept 20,000 people safe inside. Talk about a lifesaver. People were describing it like a freight train was ripping through the roof. The whole building was shaking, and the sound of the storm was getting louder and louder. It was like being in a disaster movie, except this was real life, with real stakes. When the dust settled and people finally left the arena, they stepped into a scene of utter devastation. But here's the kicker. What if all those fans had been outside when the tornado hit? The aftermath of Riley's shot was about to take on a whole new meaning. The game was over, and Alabama had lost. Mykal Riley was crushed. He'd gone from hero to heartbreak in the span of a few minutes. But as he and his teammates trudged off the court, they had no idea that the real story was just beginning. As people started leaving the Georgia Dome, their jaws hit the floor. The streets of Atlanta looked like something out of an apocalypse movie. Trees were uprooted, cars were flipped over, and buildings had their windows blown out. It was total chaos out there. Over the next few days, the full picture started to emerge. The damage? $500 million. Yeah, you heard that right. $500 million. The tornado had ripped through downtown Atlanta like it was made of cardboard, and that's when people started to put two and two together. Riley and his teammates were hearing all these wild stories. What if the game had ended on time? What if all those fans had been out on the streets when the twister hit?
that was coming in gradually begins to interrupt the TV signal more and more until you can barely make out what's happening in the game.
4 cars in a row here, 3 taxis and another car were tossed around by the storm, thrown around, the windows all blown out of them.
It was like a real-life game of what if, but with much higher stakes than any basketball game. That's when the experts chimed in. They said if the fans had left when the game was supposed to end, it could have been catastrophic. We're talking potential loss of life on a massive scale.
It's now the next day, Saturday, March 15th, 2008, and residents are on extra high alert. Their city has just been struck by a high-end EF2 tornado on a day where tornadoes and storms weren't forecasted.
All those people would have been right in the tornado's path, with nowhere to take cover. And that's when it hit Riley like a ton of bricks. His shot didn't just tie a game, it saved lives. Thousands of them. Can you imagine that? 1 second you're just trying to keep your team's season alive, the next you're finding out you literally kept people alive. Riley couldn't sleep that night. He kept replaying the shot in his head, but now it meant something totally different. He said later, "What I did that night, saving all those people in the arena, was not short of a miracle." Talk about an understatement. So what's the big takeaway from Mykal Riley's wild ride? It's simple. Those little moments in sports, they can be way bigger than we think.
Locals are also forever grateful for what started off the whole sequence of events. Mykal Riley hitting the game-tying shot to send the game into overtime and likely saving thousands.
Next time you're watching a game and someone sinks a clutch shot, remember this story? That ball swishing through the net might be changing more than just the score. You never know when your actions, on or off the court, might end up saving the day. Riley thought he was just trying to win a game, but he ended up being a real-life superhero. It's crazy to think about, right? One split-second decision, and boom, thousands of lives changed forever. That's the power of sports, and that's the power of being in the right place at the right time.